Level 5 Diploma in Leadership for Health and Social Care and Children and Young People's Services. Unit 3, Champion Equality, Diversity and Inclusion. Enhanced Limited Copyright 2019. Models of practice that underpin equality, diversity and inclusion. Within healthcare, the standardized models of practice that help to underpin equality and diversity are subject to change between different establishments. However, there is legislation that will provide the basis for these practices, including the Human Rights Act 1998, Mental Capacity Act 2005, Equality Act 2010. These acts work to ensure that individuals are treated equally. The Equality Act 2010 ensures that people who are within a care environment are treated equally despite any mental, physical or emotional difficulties they may face. The Equality Act strives to include everyone and minimize discrimination. This includes ensuring that personal requirements are met to create inclusivity for people within care, for example, using a hoist to help someone into a seat or onto a piece of apparatus, or perhaps ensuring that the grounds are wheelchair and physical aid safe. This helps reduce isolation, which can affect people within a care setting positively. The Human Rights Act was established in 1998 and gave people a right to their basic needs in the sense of physical, emotional, social and mental well-being. The Human Rights Act promotes the treatment of everyone as equals. The Mental Capacity Act 2005 was designed to ensure that people who may lack the mental capacity to conduct decision-making on their own have decisions made with their best interests and benefit in mind. Equality is the concept of everyone having the rights, opportunities and status as humans, regardless of differences. It means that everyone is born with the same rights to life, regardless of where they are from, what they believe or the abilities/disabilities they may have. The Equality Act 2010 protects all individuals from discrimination, victimization and harassment. The protected characteristics are age, disability, gender reassignment, race, religion or belief, sex, sexual orientation, marriage or civil partnership, and pregnancy and maternity. All employers, service providers and educational organizations must ensure that they do not discriminate against these protected characteristics. When a practitioner is looking at equal opportunities, it is important that no one is unintentionally, or intentionally, disadvantaged by any process, practices or strategies that have been put in place. The purpose of equal opportunities is to cancel any disadvantage an individual may be exposed to and to ensure that all individuals have access to the same opportunities. However, different individuals may experience physical or mental needs/requirements that may hinder them within a certain activity. If this is the case, it should be arranged that the individual has a similar opportunity provided to cater to their individual abilities. The aim for equal opportunities is to tackle isolation and discrimination by minimizing disadvantage. Respecting differences is key to understanding the experiences of others and helping to build a more cohesive, productive society. As individuals, we can only really know our own experiences, our own pain, our own interests etc., which is often why we struggle to work with others in an equal and fair way. Respecting the differences we come across in others is important in building our own understanding of the world and why things happen, giving us the opportunity to consider other opinions and try new things. Everyone deserves an equal chance in life to achieve their goals. Respecting potential differences is part of the process in providing those equal opportunities. Treating others as autonomous individuals with the right to their own experiences, opinions and choices is key to showing respect. You should display tolerance and understanding as far as possible and try to see why people may be different, rather than immediately assuming it is worse. It is important to remember your own differences when facing difference in others and recognize the fact that other people may view the diverse aspects of your background, identity and personality in a negative or misinformed way as well. Therefore, it is better to accept the fact that everyone is different and look into changing your own behavior to meet that of others in a respectful way. Treating people fairly does not always mean treating people the same. Treating someone fairly ensures that the person is given a high-quality service and procedure of care that caters to any disadvantages they may experience. It is ensuring that everyone has a quality of care that is to the same standard, not the same procedures. For example, if people were to receive identical care packages, processes and procedures, then some people would receive a lower quality of care as it would not suit their needs. A transparent statement of values should be discussed with staff and published explicitly to the public to ensure that everyone is aware of the values and how these can be implemented within strategies, processes, practices and activities. The values should build up the base of a positive organizational culture and should reflect and reinforce the valuing of equality and diversity. Diversity is when many different things or people are included in something. You can also have diverse thoughts or opinions on a matter. When people talk about diversity of people, they are often referring to a range of different racial and cultural backgrounds, although diversity can also be used in reference to different genders, ages, abilities, etc. Employers have the responsibility to cultivate a diverse workforce in which everyone is valued and feels able to participate. Inclusion is important to ensure that people feel involved and like they belong and are connected to the situation/environment/activity, irrespective of race, gender, disability or other attributes which can be perceived as different. Being valued and respected by removing discriminatory practice is important within inclusion. Every individual has interests that are specific to them. Some people are more scientifically minded and prefer subjects like maths, science and technology, whilst others are creatively minded and gravitate towards topics such as art, literature and music. Others are interested in a mixture of both, or neither. People spend their leisure time doing things they enjoy. For example, some people enjoy sport whilst others prefer reading. Personal interests are particular to each individual person who could have any combination of things they enjoy and things they avoid. These personal interests make us who we are. Values and beliefs are generally unique to the individual as they are formed through experience and the influence of others. We also tend to change our values and beliefs as we move through life. They make up a huge part of who we are as people, including where we stand politically, what we choose to do in society, where our religious views lie, and so on. These are all crucial aspects of our personalities. There are innumerable belief systems throughout the world. These beliefs may be of religious, political or social nature, and are by their very nature diverse, as the experiences of the individual that lead to the formation of these beliefs differ from person to person. For example, an individual may be an agnostic socialist who believes in veganism. In contrast, they could be a fervent Christian with right-wing political views. The average lifespan of human beings is 79 years, although of course some people live far longer than this and others for far less. People of all ages participate in society and have roles within it. Lifestyle largely depends on the resources that are available to us and the culture/society in which we live. Because these factors are variable from person to person, the range of lifestyles available is wide and diverse. For example, some people live a healthy and fulfilled lifestyle due to having the required resources to fulfill their wants and needs, whereas other people may lack certain resources, contributing towards a less healthy lifestyle. Our personal characteristics are, by their very nature, diverse as they are what make us who we are. For example, some people are motivated and hardworking, whereas others may be less willing or able to achieve. Some positive personal characteristics include integrity, honesty, being organized, kindness, intelligence, willingness, and passion. More negative traits include jealousy, greed, selfishness, being hypocritical, cruelty and paranoia. Everyone displays both negative and positive personal characteristics, and the combinations can vary wildly. Unless you are an identical twin, every single person is physically unique. Every aspect of our bodies is varied, from facial features to physical stature and everything in between. These things make us who we are because they are how people see us physically and are a part of how we recognize each other. Physical appearance is a huge part of what makes us who we are as individuals. A cultural identity is the feeling of belonging to a group. These are diverse because there are many different cultural identities that exist, and often people feel they belong to more than one. For example, if you have parents who come from two different cultural backgrounds, you may find you relate to two separate cultural identities. These identities differ from person to person. Everyone has a different understanding of their own beliefs and culture. For some, these aspects of themselves are incredibly important and are their main focus in life. For others, they hold less importance. Some people who are very religious follow certain rules that shape their day-to-day lives. For example, a devout Mormon female would cover her shoulders, avoid intimate relations before marriage, avoid alcohol and other intoxicants, and would attend church every Sunday. These religious guidelines shape the individual and the way they live their life. Prejudice literally means to prejudge, in other words, to make an assumption about a person or thing before you are given the facts and view them with an unfair or unreasonable opinion. For example, some people might hold a prejudiced view against a particular racial group and make assumptions about the individuals in that group without having given real thought to the situation. An organization's culture has a large influence over the policies and practices as well as the behaviors displayed by staff members. Organizations are complex. Policies, practices and guards are put in place to stop complex/conflicting interests being abused. Informal power structures appear when people who are large influences within the team gain power without holding a title or rank that offers power. This may be an influential colleague who can order, direct and lead without an official leadership title. Formal power structures are created through rank and position within the organization. This occurs through position and promotion within the team, company or sector. Usually there will be a chart or graph which shows a visual representation of the organization's power structure. It is important to ensure that all members of staff are up to date on equality and diversity as well as how these values reflect in their daily processes and strategies. A good opportunity to teach or remind staff of the importance of these values could be within team meetings and training sessions. Equality and policy. Policies may be in place that affect staff relationships and their position within the organization. For example, an unfair policy may state that women between the ages of 20 to 30 are not permitted to gain a management position due to an increased likelihood of pregnancy. For service users, policies may not be adaptable to everyone's differing conditions and limitations. It is important that policies created are suitable to all service users despite their varying limitations. Stereotyping is the act of creating assumptions and categorizing people based on their characteristics. These are usually physical characteristics such as ethnicity, race and gender. However, people can also be categorized based on personality traits, beliefs and values. Stereotyping is the act of assuming something about someone based on a characteristic before you know the person, even if sometimes these assumptions can be correct. Nonetheless, it is important to challenge stereotypes, as they can have negative effects and lead to prejudice. Example 1. Assuming a male is gay based on some feminine characteristics that they may have displayed. That man over there is wearing pink, he must be gay. Example 2. Assuming that because someone is in a wheelchair that they must lack mental capacity. Example 3. Believing that someone who is displaying ASD or AD symptoms must be a hazard to the general public. Example 4. The assumption that women cannot drive to the same standard as men. Marginalization is also known as social exclusion and social marginalization. These are terms used to describe the exclusion and removal of minorities from social groups. This can include when people's needs and desires are ignored. When people are marginalized based on beliefs, interests and sexual orientation, they can often feel that they should have kept them hidden from people and can often blame themselves for people excluding them. This can be emotionally and physically damaging. Example 1. A gay man may be marginalized by his heterosexual friends for being gay. This may lead him to feeling alone, excluded and outcast by his sexual orientation. Dehumanization is the act of depriving individuals of qualities and characteristics that define them as individuals. It is also dehumanizing to remove facilities that would be required to have a quality of life. Example 1. Forcing people to feel inferior based on a personal characteristic, belief or value. Example 2. Person not a patient, treating someone differently based on a medical condition or health quality that they cannot help can be dehumanizing. It is important to remember that patients are people and deserve to be treated with respect. Trivialization is the act of making a person or situation seem less significant than it is. Trivialization can be displayed towards emotions, healthcare, medicine, symptoms, situations, values and beliefs. To make something seem trivial is to downplay it and make it appear less important than it may be to someone else. This can be very upsetting for some people and can lead to them feeling isolated, misunderstood and unwanted. It may lead to people keeping quiet about certain feelings, thoughts and symptoms out of fear of being looked down upon and made to feel like their problems are not a big deal. Discrimination can affect individuals in a variety of ways: emotionally, physically, socially, educationally, financially, politically, and so on. For example, being excluded from certain things because of discrimination can result in mental health issues such as anxiety and depression, as well as stirring up feelings and emotions, such as anger or frustration, which can lead to a reduction in quality of life. It also means that the individual may have less opportunities than others, which can be detrimental to their physical and emotional well-being. Often those who are discriminated against do not value themselves, and may take up negative behaviors, such as substance dependencies or antisocial activities. Whereas the philosophy of discrimination focuses on the negative impacts discrimination and prejudice can have on people, the impact of inclusion focuses on the empowerment and value gained by service users and staff members when inclusion is incorporated into daily practices, protocols and strategies. The act of critical self-reflection allows us to look at our own values, beliefs, attitudes and behaviors and evaluate them. Self-evaluation and self-reflective practice are positive practices that allow us to process how we think and feel critically. When we self-evaluate, picking up on our own learned behaviors and gaining more understanding on our attitudes and values can be empowering and initiate positive change within the workplace environment and daily lives. Even in the most basic self-reflection model, there are 3 critical reflections. A detailed interrogation of the issue or situation. Why is this or why did it happen? So what does this mean? Jilly Bolton, looking through the mirror. Bolton says that anyone carrying out self-reflection will come across 3 paradoxes. To acquire confidence, you must let go of certainty. You get nowhere by looking for something when you don't know what it is. You achieve nothing by beginning to act when you don't know how you should act. She suggests that facing these paradoxes is essential for reflective practitioners and will help them to respect and have faith in themselves, trust in the reflective process and recognize that uncertainty is vital for learning and change to take place. Jib's cycle helps us to understand our own practice more clearly by breaking it down into chunks and considering situations one step at a time. Start by describing the situation. Move on to think about how you felt about this and what prompted this response. You should then evaluate the situation as a whole and analyze the different aspects. What conclusions have you come to? And what actions will you take in similar situations in the future? Discriminatory attitudes, values and behaviors often go unnoticed. It can be hard to spot them even within yourself. It is important that through self-reflection you can analyze your values, beliefs and behaviors and evaluate the effect discriminatory behavior can have on service users. Systems, processes and policies can promote equality and inclusion in the way in which they are designed and presented to the staff. Training days can be important when looking at learning the systems and policies and when looking at equality and inclusion. When designing a policy, these three things should be considered. 1. The policy, with regard to diversity, equality and inclusion, should be visible, present and clear. 2. There should be no room for misinterpretation. The policies should be clear and as simple as possible. 3. The issue must be addressed directly and cover any current legal requirements that are relevant and applicable. The rights of the individual considers the Human Rights Act in particular. Humans should be treated as complex individuals, with respect and care. They should not be stereotyped, trivialized or marginalized or made to feel inhuman. Where human rights are breached, the individual is entitled to take legal action to challenge infringement. The ability to make a decision based on received information is known as informed choice. There are 4 required elements involved in autonomous decision-making: understanding value and respect, self-governance and the ability to determine one's goals, desires and preferences, the capacity to make choices when presented with a variety of reasons, the freedom to make choices and act upon them. Anything that affects capacity can have an impact on the ability to make an informed choice. Decisions around an individual's capacity is judged based on competence. Competence can be difficult to assess but is important when looking at how their level of competence may affect their ability to make an informed decision. If you would like to cite this presentation in your work, please use the citation template below.